How to choose an e-bike, pick your next ride. The question I want to ask you is, how do you tell somebody on an e-bike from somebody who's not on an e-bike? You can't, because the audience is exactly the same. In a few moments I am going to explain the basics about how to choose your electric bike, e-bike. In a few moments we are going to talk about how to choose an e-bike. The person to ride an e-bike is virtually anybody. It could be you, or even you. It's definitely been me. There is virtually every style of bike available in the form of an e-bike, cruiser, cargo, hybrid, and even foldable. E-bikes are great for people who are trying to give up their cars, or those who might be commuting just long enough distances that it makes more sense for them to have some pedal assist versus doing it riding completely under their own power. It's also great for people who might be carrying a lot of cargo, and that could include their kiddos. E-bikes are for people who want to go faster, further, and carry more weight. There are 4 main decision points in choosing an e-bike: class, motor, battery, and features. Let's first talk about e-bike classes. There are 3 basic classes of bike: Class 1, pedal assist to 20 miles per hour, Class 2, pedal assist to 20 miles per hour plus throttle mode, and Class 3, pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour. Class 2 is actually a throttle assist, meaning that you are going to have a motorized bike for all intent and purposes, and they are more restrictive in their use. The clear difference between Class 1 and Class 3 is where that pedal assist stops. That just means that Class 1 is generally more accepted everywhere on more and more trails. Whereas, Class 3, you might still have some restrictions, primarily in mountain biking, but not exclusively so. You want to check in with your local authorities to make sure that your bike is permitted on community trails. Now let's talk about motors. Motors generally come in 2 types, either placed in that bottom bracket called a mid-drive motor, or they'll be located in either the front or the rear hub, so a hub drive motor. The difference between these generally is that a mid-drive is going to feel a little bit more balanced and mirror your natural pedal stroke, and hub drive motors, depending on where they're located, will tend to feel either more push or pull. When you're considering whether you might want a mid-drive motor, the things to consider are again, the placement of the motor, and the fact that it frees your wheels up to make them easier to maintain. If you have flats, for example, it is a lot easier to pull your wheels off and change the flats yourself. In addition, mid-drive motors work with your gearing system, which allows for more efficient use of your battery. The other 2 major considerations in what a motor does for an e-bike are torque and wattage. Torque is the force that helps move that bike forward, and the wattage is the amount of electricity or power that's required to move that bike. Wattage speaks to how quickly the battery will drain. Typically an e-bike that you're going to purchase in most bike stores is either going to have 250 watts, or 500 watts. And, in some cases you might find 750 watts. Everything is a trade-off. The trade-off will be whether you want more battery life or more power. And typically, you're going to concede one or the other, depending on how you're pedaling, and what type of terrain you're on. Let's talk about the differences between lower wattage, lower torque, and higher wattage, higher torque, and whether one or the other might be more useful to your riding style. When we are talking lower torque, lower wattage, the bike typically will be more efficient, and you might be doing a little bit more of that work on your own with just